Hello and welcome to round 4 of the ACRL GT3 Championship of 2018. And my name is Bas Bauma and with me is Luca Babetto. Hello Luca.
Hello.
There we are, round 4. And maybe we can have an immediate look at the current track conditions. So at Silverstone today, the biggest track, the international track. Practice, well, in 10 minutes or so, 11 minutes will be done with practice, and then we have a 25-minute qualifying session, and the race will be 75 minutes, as of course were the races earlier. Air temperature 19 degrees at this moment, and we'll stay roughly around that. There's a bit of wind, southwest direction, and that's probably what I can tell you.
Yeah, the wind is one of the things you might want to keep an eye on, because despite being static with such a high-speed track, most of the corners, like the maggot packet section, if you're not used, if you don't know how the car will respond to that difference in grip, you might find yourself out of position in some unwanted way.
And at this moment we have Jacob Chacot, who just left the server. Don't know why, maybe he'll come back, hopefully. Chacot at the moment in first place in this practice session. We have Albert Sultan in second place. Philippe Simard this time only with 25 kilos, and that seems to suit him very well, although Chacot still with 40 kilos ahead of everyone. So I won't go through the whole list, but those are your front runners at the moment. Other people in the championship, and we might have a look at them pretty soon, are Blame and Ronnie Brunson and Max Wandel. And those are in 14th, 15th and 16th place at the moment, so hopefully they'll be able to improve. I see some different tires, different tire choices, mostly on the front. I see soft tires for the top 11 at the moment, and then in 12th place I see the first medium tires. A couple of guys, about 6, are on medium tires, as Albert Sultan abandons whatever lap he was on. So a slight headwind on the back straight after maggots and backets, and slight wind from behind on the main straight, which of course is very tricky with the last corner, which is Club. I'm gonna try and see if I know my corner names this time. So very tricky to get on the power in Club corner, and of course these cars have traction control, so that will be a bit easier. But still, it's very hard to get right, and you need all the track width at that place. Albert Sultan in first place at the moment has improved a bit.
Yeah, I see the Lamborghini is doing really well here. It's a high-speed track. They can use all the power of the top speed of the Lamborghini to their advantage. I see people like Janssens and what is there in the McLaren, and yeah, Simard in the Audi. They have slight disadvantages here on the straight, so they might be a bit more threatened from the Lamborghinis. Charcot here also seems, despite the ballast, as you said, extremely quick.
As always, so far at least. Yes. Let's have a look at the championship as it stands right now. We have in first place in the overall championship, I must say, is Max Wandel. So the ballast is based on the Split 1 championship. So that's why they're not, it's not exactly lined up like that, but there you go. So Chacot is first in the Split 1 Driver Championship, as he's been very consistent. The drop off in points is a little less in the overall championship, so that's why Max Wandel is then in first place in the overall championship. Of course, this championship that you're looking at right now is without the drop races. There are 8 rounds, and one of those rounds will be dropped, the worst results of each driver. So that gives a bit of a chance when someone is not available for a race, which of course is a bit not like it is in real life, where everyone takes part every race, usually. And then we go down the list, and the last one on the list is Tariq Gamil with 103 points. I haven't seen him, I think, in the first split, so he is probably driving in the second split. As are some other drivers.
I haven't seen him around too yet.
And in the team championship, we have in first place Total Ballast Racing Team. That is Rens de Kok and Philippe Simard. Both of them were, well, lone wolves in the first couple of races, but then they decided to make a team out of it. Team Blackwing in second place, which I think is Max Wandel, and who's the other driver? Pavlovic, perhaps? Not sure.
Yeah, I think they should be Pavlovic and Wandel.
Yeah.
At least looking at the liveries.
And Max Sultans in 20th place is Albert, and he usually a companion. How do you say that? Accompanied by who was it? Let me check. I should have it here. And the same goes for Nassau Racing, by the way, who's also Rune Janssens at the moment, and he's now alone. José Lama was the other driver for Max Sultans, who's not there at the moment. So there you go. 5 more minutes before we start the qualifying session for the 4th round of the ACRL GT3 Championship.
I'm seeing a couple more BMWs here. The track we have Fafel currently in 20th place. We have Pisani all the way up in he's now in 10th place. Fafel with a good lap. Pisani in 11th, and new driver BM Major. I don't know if that's Spanish or it's English, in 21st, and it's a neat little car. You shouldn't underestimate it.
Yeah,
maybe on the pace it's not up there with the Lamborghini, with the McLaren and the sort. But
from what I hear, overall it's a pretty good car over a race, as it's pretty good on, I think, fuel, and that could of course give a big advantage on especially the beginning of the race. I don't know how it is on tires.
It has a very good fuel economy, and it's pretty light, and it's a bit of a jack of all trades. It's quite good on most tracks. So if it gives you confidence, you can just throw it around, and you can trust the car. So like the McLaren, it's known to be quite of a diva. You really need to know your way around it, otherwise you might risk spinning. The BMW, it's good to see some of them up here, despite the apparent lack of pace. But yeah, if it just gives you confidence to push, then you can do something good with it.
Yeah, there's always someone who manages to do so. At the moment, Fafel, the first of the BMW drivers. No Porsches today. I see a couple of Ferraris, 3 of them. Werner Grift in 19th place, and then we have Apex Police in 20th, and Ace Rod. We've seen a couple of them earlier, of course.
Nice pack of Ferraris. No Porsche so far. It was very popular when it came out back in, I think it was a couple of seasons ago. Everybody just went and picked the Porsche because it was the new craze of the moment, and everybody was loving it. But then they found out that it's not as simple to drive. It tends to overheat massively the rears because the engine is at the back, so you have all the weight at the back, and you can't heat up the front, and the rear tires heat up so much, so it's people, I think it's they got burnt up on that car, so that's why maybe we don't see so many of them.
Yeah, unfortunately. Of course, we saw a couple in the first race, I remember, and I think previous race as well.
We had a couple, I can't remember the drivers. We had a couple of Porsches. I think there was, I'm gonna try and remember.
So with 2 minutes to go, let's show a little trailer before we start qualifying session, 25-minute qualifying session of round 4 of the ACRL GT3 series.
Yeah, Sakale.
And we're back with 15 seconds to go in this session. And we see some other guys in front. Try is at the moment in first place, and Pavlovic about to set a new lap in second place. Can he improve? No, he can't.
Trice has he's had a very good race at Laguna Seca last time, and he's closing up on the top of the field. So he's one driver to keep an eye out for. Also, teammate in P5 currently.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are quali runs or if they're testing race pace. So now we will see what these drivers are capable of on the hot lap.
A couple of drivers still out on track. Calamide, although a very slow lap, so probably won't be able to set another lap. Grift in Ferrari. Very angry looking Ferrari. And Vienna Major in the BMW also setting a lap, but not improving, and goes into the pits. So with that, I'll show the practice results. And here they are. So Try is at the moment fastest. Of course, anything can still happen in qualifying, but so far he's shown that he has the pace this race. And Pavlovic only not even 0.05 of a second from him, and Albert Sultan then about 0.02 of a second from Pavlovic, so that's very close. And then Chakot with 40 kilograms of ballast in 4th place. Team ASD in 5th, and then it moves to the next page. So yeah, Ronnie Brunson, Blame and Max Wandel all doing very well in the standings, only in 15th, 17th and 18th place respectively. But hopefully they can improve, although of course we might...
Yeah, I suspect they have been testing race pace in the practice session. It's usually drivers like Blame, of course Max Wandel, they're at the top, near the top of the standings usually, so I think they have been trying to see how the cars behave in a race stint.
We'll find out soon.
A bit of wait time before we get into qualifying. Time for the marshals to clear the track.
I suppose so. Clean up everything. Not sure how long it takes. But I guess we've got 50 seconds. Let's do it.
It's about 2-3 more minutes of wait time.
Alright. So quick trailer. Right back.
Okay, so we're back. A couple more minutes to wait before the qualifying kicks off, and yeah, you might be wondering how does one become part of all this circus of a very fast and very experienced driver? Well, all you have to do is go to Google ACRL, Sato Corsa Racing League. We have a Reddit page where all of our stuff is on. It's you should be pretty much familiar with Reddit at this point, so it shouldn't be too hard to for you to navigate through our homepage.
There's a link in the description as well, I think.
Yes, there should be a link in the description of the video if our good broadcasting team has done a good job. So just have to sign up. Nothing, no requirements asked. Preferably one is from Europe or America, because from Australia, I don't think we've had anybody from there. They might have problems with ping and high latency. But yeah, everybody is absolutely welcome as long as you're safe and clean on track. It doesn't matter how quick you are, because you will surely find somebody to race with, maybe in the lower splits if you're not as experienced. So yeah, if you want to join, if you own the game and own the content, you're very welcome to join us.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we have usually quite many drivers, especially for the GT3 championships. They are really popular. Over 100 drivers usually, and we have EU, usually a couple of splits. That's the most popular one, and then for us, late at night, in the middle of the night, is the North America race, which is usually 1 or 2 splits, and that will be as qualifying is starting.
Yes.
So that will be for them. I'm not sure exactly what time, but somewhere in the evening.
It should be about 8 in the evening in the New York time zone, just as a reference for the American guys.
There you go. So yeah, you can always join, and you'll find plenty of good races. As right now we have a bit of cloudiness going on.
Yeah, the British summer hasn't lasted long.
Yeah, and sometimes, of course, I noticed that for myself when I was practicing, and I was practicing while the weather was nice. The shadows would be a certain way, and somehow I would use that as a sort of reference point for braking or something. That of course disappears when the sun is gone, so maybe that adds a bit of a challenge. I don't know if
one suggestion one usually learns in sim racing, just if you have to pick a reference spot, don't pick one that moves. So, because stuff like that might happen if the sun is different, if it's cloudy and you take shadows as reference, it's gonna be hard.
So here we have on screen the current track conditions. Still 19 degrees, the air temperature. And track is, well, pretty slowly improving. We have 26 drivers, 25 at the moment. But so it should improve a bit, but only somewhere in the race. So for now, it's not too quick, the track. And the wind has picked up a little bit with 10 kilometers an hour with the south-southwestern direction. So still a headwind where Simar is right now.
And a little interesting physics fact. With the low track grip, when the track is not rugged enough, usually the cars with a bit more downforce, so the McLaren and the Audi and the likes of those, they have a bit of an advantage, because they depend much more on the aerodynamics to get the grip. So cars like the Lamborghini, for instance, that relies so much on mechanical grip, when the track is not rubber, they tend to struggle a bit more on the tires to get them switched on. So they might have a bit of struggle here in the first part of the qualifying.
So Simar then first one out to set a fast lap. I'm not sure what the lap time will be. Sorry,
just an out lap. Yeah. Simar and Chakot behind Sultan.
Yeah, so the usual front runners are out first as well. Something we often see, of course, they start ahead in the pit lane, I believe.
Some drivers still in the pit lane. Pavlovic and Tom back in 24th. They're still waiting maybe for the truck to clear a bit.
Yeah, I've seen that before from Simar that we're looking on board with at the moment, who's taking very neat lines, not pushing too hard. It's of course not of much use when you're going out early and the track doesn't have much grip and will improve, so you have to keep driving it. So you might as well join a bit later, as Philippe Simar has a little bit of a moment through Beckett's and Maggots. Bit of oversteer on the exit. It's quite bumpy on some parts of this track as he goes on the hanger straight. And Simar then still with the purple sector, so Chakot in both the first and second sector not improving on Simar at the moment. Neither does Sultan and Max Wandel. and all the drivers coming over the second split line at the moment. No improvements on the fastest time yet, so looks like Simar is setting a pretty good lap immediately in this session. He goes over the line with a that's at 2 minutes 00 with 0.2. Jacob behind him, crossing the line 0.8 for him.
Yeah, it's a combination of ballast and a bit lower grip on track. Charcot will need to bring out something more if he wants the front row.
For the moment. So watch on board with Albert Sultan. Taking a pretty tight turn 4. It's called the loop. Onto the Wellington straight. Underneath the bridge. Of course, there used to be an old bridge to the left of here. And you would join the track right about here. It goes pretty wide into Brooklands. And then into the hairpin, which is Lovefield. A bit of a curb on the entry. You can use all the curb on the exit. It's pretty slippery, but if you can keep 2 wheels on the red and white paint, you'll be quite alright, I think. Into Cops Corner, very quick corner. It's about 160 through there, 65. And all the drivers at the moment on soft tires. And so far I see that is Jacob Jacot then improving in the first sector, and then in the second sector he is up a bit.
He improves on his lap time, but he doesn't put a purple sector.
So we can do it the last sector. Braking for the fill chicane. Not using too much of the curb on the apex there. Pretty neat though, pretty tidy. Goes over the line. Just about second place still.
P2 currently, yes. And Sultan improves on that time with 2 minutes and 0.4. That's a very good lap time.
Yeah, looks like he's on pace today. It was pretty quick in the qualifying session as well. We have Timmy in 4th place with also 0.5. And Calamite. No ballast for Calamite, but still pretty good. With a 0.6. As Timmy ASD has a big moment. And decides to go straight on through Maggots and Beckett's. And then
that is not the official layout of, of the circuit, no?
Don't think it is. We'll probably go into the pits with these tires.
Yeah, they're probably overheated now, so it's just get back in the pits, slap a new set on, and keep going.
And behind them then is... Oh, that was the wrong driver. There we go, Samuel. Samuel at the moment in 24th. I must say I've seen him in different races, known as Samuel as well. Be a bit quicker overall, and he's not being the quickest. He's been a bit on the edge of split 1 for the last couple of races, but I'm surprised a bit.
I might tell you why. He's also one of the drivers that has been racing the iRacing 24 hours of the Nürburgring. So he might. These people apparently cannot get enough racing.
So yeah, there's been a 24-hour race on the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, in iRacing, and quite a few of the drivers who, well, are usually taking part here took part in that race. As well did Rune Janssens, who's now on an outlap, and yourself, of course, Luca.
Yes, I have been racing. One of the drivers that has been racing the 24 hours with Samuel and Rune, who we are not seeing here, Fritz van der Zalm, the Mercedes driver, I think he was just that has taken a bit too much on his status to allow him to race.
Yeah, I don't see any zebras today at all. No Dennis Marquardt either. We have a BMW off the track. In turn 4. And Rune at the moment in 7th place with his 10 kilograms of ballast. And so it's decent first sector. It's a personal best for him. Pretty tight line for Brooklands. And they have sort of double apex in Lovefield, which he does pretty well. And a double apex, of course, so you can have a quick entry as well as a fast exit. And the fact that you lose a little bit of time on the middle part of the corner compared to if you were to take a single apex line doesn't cost too much, so you'll easily make up for that with a good exit. And I think that's Sultan in front of Janssens, probably on an outlap or in-lap.
Yeah, it should be on an outlap, so he'll just give way to the McLaren driver behind. Start picking up the pace. Depends on how he intends to build temperatures into the tires.
Currently the fastest first sector is by Apex Police in the Ferrari. Now the first sector has of course very quick, as Janssens still in 7th place, very quick turn 1 as you can see right now on the screen. And after that it's a pretty slow bit of track and very twisty, very technical. And maybe the Ferrari is good at that. And Timmy with a purple first sector then.
I think the truck might be starting to get some rubber in. We will see times dropping slowly. Simard now he's in the pits. He's probably waiting for the truck to improve, or for somebody else to threaten his provisional pole position.
Yeah, most drivers just keep on putting laps down, and
oh, such a shame.
What happened there?
Teammate was on a good lap, and he found himself. I think that was
one of the Ferraris.
Yeah, one of the red Ferraris.
Probably Ace Rod, by the looks of it, which is damage on his car.
Yeah.
Ace Rod on his outlap, by the looks of it. So, yeah, that's a bit of a shame, and we might see that in one of the incident reports, as Timmy was on a good lap. Shame for him. Then out of the pits. See a couple of improvements again by Rune Janssens as well as Albanese. Albanese with the very well, bright looking McLaren, at least on the rear.
Yeah, that's a clearly distinguishable car.
Yes.
Teammate coming back into the pits for repairs, and he should be off right away.
And at the moment, Pisani, the fastest BMW. BMWs right behind each other. Pisani goes into the pits. Then Bien and Major on an outlap, and Vaffel. Vaffel looks like he's probably on a lap, but not improving at the moment.
Janssens has improved on his lap. In the meantime, he's currently P3. He's put himself ahead of Charcot. He's now he's on one lap, but he wasn't particularly quick. He improved, but not enough to get ahead of Janssens. And
I saw an improvement by Charcot as well, but still only 4th place for him with a 2:00.4. With about half the session, as Simar heats up his tires. Half the session left. Let's do a quick rundown through the field with Simar in 1st place. Then we have Albert Sultan. Then we have Rune Janssens in 3rd place at the moment, as was just told. and Jacot then in 4th place. Team ASD in the pits in 5th place. Calamite in 6th place, also just about going into the pits. Ronnie Bronson then is on a fast lap in 7th place at the moment with 0.7. Max Wandel, another McLaren in 8th place. Wandel, of course, running with 35 kilograms of ballast, and Bronson, we just saw, was 20 kilograms. Rens de Kok in 9th place with 15 kilos of ballast. Then we have Trias, who was very quick in the practice session, only in 10th place at the moment. Lubczynski going into the pits in 11th place. Then we have Albanese, 12th place. Vaffel now in 13th place, so he has improved. Then we have Pisani going out of the pits in his BMW. Then we have Biana Major as Blame did just improve.
Simard also on a very good lap. Simard is up about 2/10 in sector 1 on his previous lap.
So let's watch on board with Simard, see if he can improve before we continue going down the order. Looking very solid, very very calm for him.
Should be guessing the time for the second sector pretty soon. He looked very fast through the Maggots and Beckett section.
Yeah, that's over 3/10 up on his previous time, so that is looking like he's the first about to go under 2 minutes.
Yes, it is, and 2 purple sectors in a row. Now he's coming up. He has a slow driver ahead who gives way, so nothing lost there.
So it's difficult though. You have a bit of a distraction. You know, you want to find a braking point at the moment, and also at the same time you want to find out what the other driver is doing. But will it have impacted his lap? No, lost a little bit of time.
Just over the 2 minutes mark, but that's still a net improvement on his previous lap.
And then we have in 17th place. I want to continue going down the list. I want to give everyone a chance, you know. 17th place, Ferrari of Apex Police, the red Ferrari. Today, Ruvix in the Lamborghini in 18th place, warming his tires as he is going out of the pits. Alice Zerks, we've seen him earlier, of course, as well. I think he was the one. No, Slimar is behind him. Confused here for a moment, but he's in 19th place. And Rob Lewis, the Supernova racing driver, in 20th place. We have Vega, another Wyland, something I can't quite read it, but another one of those very striking skins. Werner Grift in 22nd place in a Ferrari. And we have Ace Rod, another Ferrari, very orange as well. Samuel, keeping out of the way from someone. That is Janssens. Pavlovic, 25th in the pits, not set a time yet. And same for Tom. And I might be curious if they were the ones who got a penalty and are banned from the qualifying.
I believe Pavlovic has a qualifying ban. I'm not sure about Tom. I think Pavlovic is not allowed to qualify at the present time.
And Pavlovic, of course, we saw him be very quick earlier. So he'll be doing some overtaking, probably. Although it's not the easiest track to overtake with that many quick turns.
Yes, especially for McLaren. When you don't have that top speed advantage, it's pretty tough.
And Janssen's a bit of a moment in turn 3, that is. Turn 3 is Village. To the Wellington Straight, and well, very far off the pace at the moment. Someone who is doing a bit better is Calamite in 6th place currently, but is improving on his own first sector with a 32.4. And then does not improve in the second sector. 7/10 of the current pole.
Yeah, nobody at the time is improving, especially the top runners, Sultan, Janssens, Charcot and Simara in the pits.
I see Trias and Glubczynski. Glubczynski is improving in 12th place. Before we switch to him, let's see what Calamite does. Can he improve on his own time? And he cannot. He lost a lot of time there. So Lubushinski then. 2 green sectors for him. Trying to balance the car on the exit of Club and goes to 8th with a 0.7. Not too shabby.
That's a good lap. We have quite a few drivers from 2 minutes and a half to the 2 minutes and 01. That's a tight pack from P5 to P18, 19. They're all in just a little more than half a second.
Yeah, as we often see, the field's very tight. As Trias improves, goes 6th fastest. And of course we like to see that. We like to see the field close. Personally, I'm not sure if ballast is the way forward, but it does seem to provide some good racing. What I am curious about is if the ballast does more to one car than the other. Of course, well, Chacot is really quick, but so quick that it's. I start to wonder if the 40 kilograms would be as heavy on his car as it would be on, let's say, an Audi. Of course, that's always hard to tell.
Yeah, on like a McLaren, very light and nimble car that does a lot of. That takes a lot of the strength from being able to corner very quickly. If you strap 40 kilos of ballast on one of those, maybe it's not the same as putting it on a Nissan that's already very heavy, already basically a tank, so it can take a bit more.
And Sultan in 3rd place currently is improving in his 1st sector, entering Maggots and then Beckett's. Looking good so far. You can see it go over the bumps pretty well. And then through Chapel onto the Hanger Straight. Improving still on his own lap, but not on the pole position lap for the moment. No purple sectors for him. Pisani currently in 8th place. And improving on himself as well.
I'm not sure if it's a bug on my screen or if it's correct, but Apex Police now in 19th place. I see him on medium tires.
Yeah, it's the same I'm seeing, so that's probably correct.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe he feels the tires are a bit too hot, the soft tires.
Or
he feels more comfortable on.
Yeah, perhaps, or maybe he's thinking, well, this is about what I can do, and then tries to put on his race set and get ready for the race to have a bit of an advantage on the first lap. Sultan then in 2nd place, did a very good last sector compared to Simar, but it was not enough to get in pole position, currently in 2nd place then. And Chacot though, even still he has 40 kilograms of ballast in 3rd place.
Yeah, he's improving on his lap time. He was quicker than his previous lap on the 1st sector. Not a purple sector yet, but on the back straight the Lamborghini usually gains something on the other cars.
And as some of you might have noticed, we have a new curb camera. It's very tempting to use it often. I don't want to overuse it, but might say it looks nice. 4/10 of the current pole position for Chacot then, in 3rd place still. We don't see many improvements. Well, I do see some improvements, but not in the order. Jansen's also with a very quick 1st sector at 32.5, but Sultan then 32.3 in the 1st sector. And there's a good 2nd sector as well. But Chacot going through Club. And on the straight, over the line, and does a 2:00.2. Still 3rd place for him.
Yeah, he was 4/10 down on Simada at the 2nd sector, so he gained quite a lot on that last bit. If you just can get the first 2 parts of the track.
And that looks very good from Sultan then. 1.5 tenths below, well, up on Simar at the moment, with the first one to go into the 59s. So some work to do for Simard. Maybe he'll do another lap, maybe not. And
I think he's currently out, but he will have one chance. I haven't seen when he got out of the pits. I assume he had plenty of time. Oh, okay, so he's coming down the main straight now. So he's starting his lap. Only one chance currently.
And Rens de Kok currently in 11th place, improving on himself. See what he can do. And Rens crossing the line in 5th place. Quite a bit of surprise. He's been quite down the list throughout the session, but well, there we go. 5th place for him with 15 kilograms of ballast as well. And Trias was pretty quick earlier. Is now into the pit, so he will not be able to do another lap. He's in 6th place and stay there, or maybe even drop down. Timmy in the last sector at Crew Club.
None of the top runners are
in 4th place for Timmy ASD.
Oh, good lap from Timmy.
He balanced his lap, and Simard
has he was down on the first sector, so he's given up.
I see a purple sector from Rune Janssens.
Yeah, he's just 1/10 down on overall on Sultan's lap. He can just quite make it if he gets these last corners perfect.
In Stoke quarter there, but it didn't look too heavy. Tight corner.
He's a chance to get pole position, or at least get close to that, maybe first row.
Gluszczynski improving in 4th place. And Rune Janssens currently in 6th, goes 4th then. All the drivers still out on track. I see Rens de Kok on a lap, not improving so far. Also one of the Ferraris behind him, which is Apex Police, currently in 17th place.
It seems Sultan has pole position. I think nobody has enough pace to threaten that position.
Yeah, it certainly looks like pole position for him. I think all the drivers are going into the pits. We have Rob Lewis. Rob Lewis, the last one to be able to improve on his lap. Currently in 23rd place. Pretty far down the order, but improving, as I said. Oh, a bit of a moment, a bit of oversteer. Very slippery on that curb.
Reminds me of Raikkonen in Baku. Slipped in the last corner and just couldn't get his string together.
It's just that last bit. As we look at the qualifying results then. So Albert Sultan in 1st place, the only one to do 59.
He said it last time that Silverstone was a good track for him.
Well, by the looks of it so far, yeah. Well, let's see what he can do in the race. Of course, he, unlike most of the front runners, is not running any ballast. The next one to not run any ballast is Gluszczynski in the Audi, and Timmy then behind him. And Max Wandel only in 13th place, not doing too well. Maybe it's the ballast, because we are seeing the same with Ronnie Brunson, who's in 11th place. Ronnie on 20 kilograms. So maybe the ballast does have a bit of an impact on the McLaren.
Yeah, I would say that that's the car that could be most sensitive on the ballast. As we've seen Charcot, it's like he's not even running ballast at the moment. Yeah, Simard also, he had some issues with ballast the previous races when he had a lot more.
Yeah.
Now with just 25 kilos, he's back at the top.
Yeah, we're going over it pretty easily, but Charcot has always been on the near the front, and seems to be very quick. Let's have a look at a trailer before we return for the race of this GT3 race, GT3 Championship, round 4 at Silverstone. We'll be right back. And we're back. Let's show you the grid. As we just saw, of course, Sultan then on pole position. Well, you can see the list for yourself. The Spanish driver was doing pretty well last race. We interviewed him. Looking good for him.
You should definitely keep an eye out on him. As you said, he doesn't have any ballast at the moment, so he might have the chance to just pull away at the start and build the lead as Simard and Chacot. They will probably battle each other. And yeah, there are a couple of McLarens behind. That might be a threat. They have they're quite good off the grid. They have good launch. Same goes for Audis, of course. Trias has done really well the last race, so I would expect him to keep that streak up. I see about the strategy. I think I see a lot of drivers switching to medium tires. As we've seen last time with Fritz van der Zalm defending his position on one tires in his Mercedes, track position is very important here. Even if you have new tires, even if you have faster car, you still have to get ahead of the driver in front. And with these people, when it's about tenths at best of a difference in pace, it's going to be hard. And it's you're not going to just push them into a mistake. It's not like the public lobbies where you just have to make them scared enough to run off track. These drivers are really quick and they know how to race. So I think they will try and get track position and stick on mediums. Yeah,
well, I see a couple of drivers on the soft, quite a many actually on soft tires. Just now I saw Team ASD switch to soft tires, so. Very interesting. Perhaps they will do a mid-race stop and refuel and new tires.
Yeah, as the temperature is a bit lower now, so does the asphalt. There was 26 degrees on the track on the asphalt before. Now it's just 18.
There you go. The round info. With 3 minutes left before we start this session, 75-minute race here on Silverstone, and well, as we just said, 18 degrees. Still quite a bit of wind, pretty similar to qualifying and practice.
Funny how you can't probably say this, but in the race chat, there's a bit of a squabble to ask for the optimal strategy on these temperatures, trying to figure out. One from the other, what's the best strategy and what are the tires to take. So there's a bit of a panic going on the grid at the moment.
And we have a bit over 2 minutes left. I want to show a quick trailer before we start the race. We'll be right back. And we're back with 40 seconds left. And then it's about 50-50 at the moment regarding tires and strategy.
This is going to be interesting to watch.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. If they don't know it, we certainly can't know it, and anything can happen.
Yeah, it seems to be right the temperature where you're not sure if it's too hot for the softs or too cold for the mediums, and I think lights are about to go red. So let's stay ready for that.
And the lights are all on and they go off. And it's Sultan then still first, but Timar on the inside. I can't quite see if he's next to him. No, he's not.
Charcot has lost a couple of one position on Janssen. Janssen is ahead currently. Charcot didn't get a good start off the line with his 40 kilos of ballast. Sultan still in the lead. That's good for him. Charcot trying the overtake on Janssens and pushing him wide. So I think that's Glubczynski.
Yeah, he lost 2
goes
places there.
past.
And we see the field going through it all nicely. I don't see too much touchy going on. And Sultan then still out in front. We have Glubczynski right under attack from Jeroen Janssens. And behind him as well, a scuffle going on between Team ASD and Trias. And those are the fights that I'm seeing. I see 4 cars close to each other, which is, among them is Blame and Ronnie Bronson. Ronnie Bronson side by side on Blame on the outside into Cop's corner. Let's see what happens.
Can't go too wide on this corner. Yes, smart move from Ronnie Bronson to just let him go and do the over and under.
There you go. And he has, of course, the inside, basically the inside for Megas, but yeah, he's very careful there. And immediately under attack from Waffle. Waffle in the BMW. Out in front I see that the field is pretty spread already. But if we move a bit closer, Alex then on BN Major on the Hangar Straight. I see BN Major, of course, in the BMW then on the inside. And behind them as well, Werner Grift. And who's that? That is Rob Lewis. Also fighting.
Surprisingly clean as a start here. No accidents so far.
Everyone seems very careful, although Rob Lewis very late on the brakes, tries to hold on the outside. In the chicane, and then on Klopp he's on the inside, so there we go. And then Blame still already right behind Max Wandel at the moment, Blame in 12th place.
Pavlovic had quite a good start. He's already made up 8 positions. He started, of course, from the back since he had a qualifying ban. So that's a really good start for him. The field at the front, as you said, is spreading out already. Sultan has pulled about 1 second gap on Simard behind. Charcot is just hanging on there. Maybe now that he's not under pressure from Glubczynski anymore, he will start closing up. I see them, the top 3 on soft tires, correct me if I'm wrong, then Glubczynski and Janssens on mediums.
Yeah, should be the correct info this time around, and that's very interesting then. The soft tires at the moment having track position, and they can drive away, but if you are Team ASD or Trias or even Rens de Kok, possibly you might get stuck a bit behind medium tires towards the end of this stint, and then it's very hard to come back as you'll be waiting in the pits for a much longer time.
Yeah, a tire change is about 20 seconds. So if you're on soft tires and you have a medium car with medium tires in front, you want to get past as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will just lose time. So the top 3, the strategy is working out pretty well for them. I think they have the pace to cover that 20-second disadvantage on the medium tires.
And the drivers that on my screen are pretty close together. Somewhere in the midfield is Calamite between Rens de Kok and Pisani. Pisani doing pretty well. We also have Waffle being very close to others, and we have Ace Rod behind, just overtook, I think, Albanese. And then in front of them, let's see who's that. That is Samuel and Ruvix. There's Albert already with a 2:00.9, so that's very fast on a race setup, that is. Race fuel, of course.
Yes, that is a very good lap.
And we have a couple of cars going side by side through turn 1, through Abbey.
Those are Ransdekok and Trias. Trias gives way, and maybe he will lose it. He will be under attack at the end of the straight. He will have to cover the inside. He doesn't. He stays on the outside, and that gives Calamity behind. No, he doesn't go for the lunge, but
goes a bit
Trias goes a bit wide.
Though, and then Calamity having a better line. And maybe he can set up an attack on Cobb's corner, although at the moment it doesn't look like it, but let's see what he can do.
Calamity also medium tires, so he's keeping up with the cars around him. So
yeah,
that's good pace for him.
It's pretty lonely on those medium tires if you look at all the cars around him. And Pisani very close now to Calamity. But it's very hard to keep very close to the car in front this part of the track. You have to be a bit lucky, and if the driver in front makes a mistake, then you can possibly set up an attack and stow. And let's see what Pisani can do with the speed of this BMW.
Seems to have a good run.
It's very bumpy on the braking and stow.
Yes, there's a couple of bumps right where the braking zone is. So if you're not careful enough, you might risk unsettling the car. It's very deep on the brakes, Pisani, but he manages to avoid Calamity.
At the moment, there will be Blame behind him in the Lamborghini, who will be able to set up an attack possibly into Abbey.
Pisani needs to cover the inside here because Blame is going for it.
Doesn't want to compromise his exit, and Blame then being very careful not to do anything weird this early in the race.
It's a 75 minutes race, so you don't want to risk crashing right away. As the old saying goes, if you want to finish first you have to finish.
But Blame does try some different lines. We have a very funny L on the back of Pisani's car. Braking late, braking very late. Barely managed to miss the back of Pisani. All the drivers very similar in the lines on this kind of technical part of Brooklands and Lovefield, where you can take a bit of different lines just to see if you can gain some, but you know, of course there is some sort of ideal line. So
if you want to set up a pass, maybe you can try and go for a bit more late apex, so you get a good run on the other stage, but also you have to be careful not to open the door for the driver behind, as at the moment they're pretty close together, so it's you have to ponder both sides of your car.
We saw Pisani miss some of the apexes, but now did a pretty good run through Mackett and Beckett's later on, and now is running away from Blame at the moment. And Waffle behind him pretty close to Ronnie Bronson. So we see the BMWs do pretty well in the race for the moment.
Yeah, as we said before, they're very dependable cars. You can just trust them and play around without having to worry about too much about the car, and just drive.
And Trias on Timmy. Not close enough for the moment. The big loser at the moment, well, I don't want to call him that, but Albanese has lost 11 places. Of course on medium tyres, so that will have some influence. Maybe his tyres couldn't warm up, or maybe he had a bit of a moment. We kind of missed that, although we saw some drivers squabbling in the background, but no big accidents happened. But
could have been just a bad start. Maybe he didn't get off the line quickly and lost a bit of positions. Trials before starting to attack. Yeah, so now that's Ransdekok. I don't have the skins installed, so I kind of confused them. They're both white for me. On the track from Calamite right now, the driver on medium tires, and he will be very happy with his race pace, because after the pit stops in about that's 75 minutes, that's 35 to 40 minutes, when the pit window usually opens for the drivers when they start coming in the pits, he will be massively ahead. He will have 20 seconds at least advantage after the pit stop if he doesn't change size and if he does keep up with them.
At the moment, Sultan only 1.8 seconds in front of Simai, and seems to be about the same for the last lap or so. So he's not running away either, and Lubczynski then and Janssens keeping up reasonably well. And Sultan then setting a fastest lap. And the gap now increasing a bit.
Yeah, Charcot and Simard are basically on the same lap times, 2:01 low. Sultan, he can go below 2:01, so he's pulling away a bit. He's taking full advantage of that lack of ballast. But as we said earlier, and as he said himself during the interview with Laguna Seca, this is a truck he really likes, and he's showing that. He's been very consistent so far.
It looks like Pisani is a bit faster than Calamide.
Yeah, but he struggles to. He doesn't. He hasn't found a place to get past yet. Calamide is running very good lines and he's getting good speed out of the corners, so he's keeping Pisani behind.
Yeah. And Björn Major then on Max Wandel.
Yeah, Max Wandel doesn't seem to be quite comfortable here. He's lost 2 positions from the start. He's in the midfield at the moment. Not the best race for him so far.
No, also lost a couple of places. Even his qualifying wasn't too great. Seems to struggle quite a bit. And it might be the ballast. 35 kilograms, of course. And then we have 3 minutes left before the pit lane opens for the pit stops. And Apex Police, the 2 Ferraris of Vennegift and Apex Police, pretty close as well. And as well we saw very late braking and loses control of the car, and Ruvix then overtaking him. Did Apex Police. And Tom we saw earlier very close to Lily Albanese. Has he now passed? No, sorry, that is Vega behind him, which he now passed by the looks fit.
Simard and Charcot still on the 2 minutes .1 low, 2:01.4, 2:01.4 for both drivers. Sultan is still below the 2:01, so he's gained about half a second on the drivers behind. That's very good for him. Oh, I saw, I think it was Timmy. Rune Janssens having a bit of a moment.
Yeah, and he's immediately on the track from Timmy. Timmy choosing the outside, but not enough speed for him.
He had a very bad exit out of Laffield, so he was under threat. But now Timmy is under threat himself.
And is overtaken now by Trias.
Very tight pack here in the middle. Calamity is still holding up. Still keeping Pisani behind. He's just on the bumper of Vensterkog. He shows himself in the mirror. He's looking for a dummy. Let's see if he tries something here.
Well, certainly has a look. Wants to maybe make Rens make a mistake, but Rens is pretty experienced.
He clearly showed that he wants to go past. The place is not enough for him. He wants to go ahead.
And we see the drivers taking a lot of curb on the entry of Abbey. So trying to use all the width of the track. And Simar is now on almost 3.5 seconds behind and losing quite rapidly on Albert Sultan, and Chacot keeping up pretty well with Simar. But then there's a 5.5 second gap between them and the guys on mediums. And we have Ronnie Bronson and Vaffel going on there. Can't quite see it. Ronnie Bronson having a look on Vaffel.
Very wide into that, but he's still ahead. I think Vaffel was behind Ronnie Bronson, so I think he pulled an overtake. Bronson was just behind Blaine up until a couple of minutes ago.
Well, there you go, you heard it here first. Rens de Kok on Timmy, and bit too fast, and we have another driver there. It was Calamite, I think. Almost.
I don't know how he manages to hold it. There was some. Well, he gets points stars for that, for sure.
Yeah, certainly does, and was very controlled on the entry then of Beckett's.
Yeah, he just lost one position on Calamite, and he managed to hold the car. That was very, very good driving from him. Now the worry is that he might have overcooked his tires a little bit, so he might want to take a couple of laps a bit easy, not to risk getting turned around.
Well, it doesn't look like he's taking it easy at the moment.
Yeah, it still seems very confident on both sides, despite the sideways moments there in the Cups. Krupczynski and Janssens, they've started to pick up the pace. They were running 2 minutes 2 before. Now they're in the 2:01 mid, like the drivers in front of them, Samara Chacot. Sultan is still clocking under 2 minutes 01, so he's still pulling away. We might see something interesting from those two drivers in medium, because if they can keep up and keep the gap below, let's say, 10 seconds, then at the end of the race they're going to be ahead, and they, Simar and Chacot, they will have to pass them, and they have ballast, so that's going to be extra hard for them.
And I see Pisani then all over the back still of Rens de Kok and Vaffel. Well, Blaine went a bit wide, but so far Vaffel not able to get close to the rear of Blaine. Werner Grift in the Ferrari, very close to Rob Lewis. There's not much you can do on the entry of Stowe unless you are really right side by side. And then after this you get the Maggots, you get Beckett's, and all very quick, although Rob Lewis then having a look on driving front, who is LSX. But as you can see, it's very hard to make it stick there. LSX then taking a bit too much of the apex, while Grift is going wide. And immediately under attack from Ruvix. Ruvix on a very quick Lamborghini puts his car next to Ruvix. On the outside though, Ruvix, Griff defending. But it is Ruvix who takes place and goes 19th.
Around the outside of Stowe, that was a good overtake. So Try is very close to Janssens now. He started to. He was in the pack with Team A and Calamid. Now Trice has starting to pull away, and he's caught the drivers and mediums. That's something to.
Yeah, so this is about the point where I would suspect that the medium tires are going to be slower than the soft tires. If you can keep the temperatures of the soft tires in a reasonably window, then It should be faster on the soft tires. It's a bit counterintuitive, but when the temps are right, when the temps are pretty cold, then the mediums are not too fast, especially near the end of the stint. At least that's my experience from the first race.
In this race, we will see the strategy finally playing out and being a major part of the outcome of the race. Up until now, we've had one clearly faster strategy with some drivers trying to make something different, but always there was a bet. Now it's nobody knows what's really worth it, because you have, of course, you have the slow pack at the back of drivers and medium, so it would seem that they're on the wrong tire. But then you see Grubczynski and Janssens in 4th and 5th place, and Calamity also holding up very well.
And
so
Ruvix and then Rob Lewis. Ruvix, of course, earlier overtook Grift, but now is faster than Rob Lewis in front of him. And Ronnie Bronson putting his car side by side on Waffle. And takes the place from him. Ronnie Bronson up into 12th place. Although Waffle then on the inside having a look. And Ronnie Bronson closes the door and goes 12th. And Rune Janssens at the moment feeling the pressure from Trias. And
he's seen
both of the drivers, of course, on medium tires. Go ahead, Luca.
Yeah, he's seen that. Oh, he tries on the outside here, and yeah, he forces the Audi on the curb, and now he will have the inside for this corner, so he will probably make it stick. Yeah, as you said, he was under pressure from Trias, so he said he saw that he was coming up fast, and he knew he was on the soft tire. So he had to try and get past get past Grubczynski and put him between his car and Grubczynski trying to cover up on the outside but doesn't make it stick.
Yeah, it is Janssens who's placing his car really well for this series of corners, and then we have
was a bit of a
two cars of
contact
Trias and Grubczynski touching, and Trias losing many places, and can he stay in front of the Lamborghini of Blame?
Currently yes, but maybe when they get to Cops there will be too much speed difference. He seems to be... He should be fine for now.
Should be okay, but how are his tires?
That was very unfortunate. He had the inside. I think Grubczynski might have closed the door a bit too hard on him. He didn't have anywhere to go. But that's something the stewards will have to look at after the race.
You don't know exactly what happened, just happened right outside my screen. And we have a couple of drivers very close together. Blame having a look on, is that Trias? Yeah, there we go. So it takes place from Trias, and that's another place lost from him. And then also Bronson, very close to Trias at the moment.
Yeah, that incident completely killed his momentum. He was having a good run, Trias. He closed up on the two cars on mediums. He was getting past one, and but then that crash happened, so now he has to start building it all over again. In the meantime, Sultan, he's taken a bit of, he's breathing a bit, his lap time's dropped, but half a second, he's doing 2:01 low. Simard is slowly closing the gap, a couple of tenths per lap.
Yeah, best lap from Simard at the moment, 2:01.1, so Sultan seems to be very comfortable ahead. 4 seconds now. We haven't seen much from him, but that's because he's been so lonely all of this race.
Sharkut, maybe he's losing a bit. Yes, sorry.
More going on. Ronnie Bronson going wide. I think he was touched by someone. They're now in 15th place. And it is Waffle, I think he is the biggest winner from this little scrap at the moment. And we have the BMW from Vienna Major as well. Pretty close to the back of Waffle. And Pisani still close to Rens de Kok. Trying on the inside of Beckett's. Or Maggots. And trying a different line, a very good exit there for Pisani onto the hanger straight. And then there's the Cock trying to break a slipstream, but already Pisani then putting his car next to him.
He's already next. He has.
Will have the inside corner of the Stowe. And if he can keep the control over his car, it looked a bit sloppy on braking. Still side by side then.
Yeah, but now he will have the outside. Yeah.
And that was Blame behind him, and Blame very much outbraking himself. Tries to get out of the way from the other drivers around him, and that was very unfortunate there from. Where's he gone now?
He's lost. He's in 16th place at the moment. That was very deep on the brakes. I don't know if that was intentional. If he made a mistake or if some problems happened. Pisani doesn't seem to have lost any positions so
there
far.
He is. Pisani then in front of Trias, just about, with a bit of damage. And Trias then, well, although he did lose some places earlier, has now gained a bit of an advantage from the unfortunate outbreaking of Blame. And Waffle having a look on him into Brooklands. They go. And Laffield then tries going for a very wide entry, as well as the middle of the corner, and let's see if he can keep that momentum going.
And the very wide entry on the corner set him up nicely for this short straight, so he should be fine.
Still struggling a bit on his tyres, his Trias. And we have Calamite now won a couple of places on medium tyres. It's also doing well. And I read one comment that maybe the guys on mediums will do a bit of tyre changing. We'll see.
I think they will go for a tyre swap on medium tyres. That would be interesting. Because, theoretically, the medium should last all those 25 minutes quite easily. Maybe in the last 10 minutes. Oh, we have Calamite now all the way up the back of Team ASD. But the medium tyres certainly seem to be very solid race tyre.
And it's very easy to overheat. We see another driver, that is Janssens, I think. Is it? Yeah, we saw Janssens going wide right up in front of us, and now lost place again to Globczynski. So not sure what happened. Of course, on medium tires is Janssens. Kept his foot in and was able not to lose too much time as Calamite is having a look. Trying to keep his car close, and Team ASD at the same time trying to make his car very wide. A very tight line for Calamite.
Flashing his lights in frustration. He will try. Will he try to outbrake him at Cops? No, that would have been pretty dangerous.
Have a go, but maybe he can have a better exit. No, he can't at the moment. And Waffle then doing the same thing on Trias. Trias going wide. And I think Pisani and Zetterens the Cock as well. Waffle on the inside into... I should learn these better. Into Maggots.
Still side inside, and there's also BNM Major.
Yeah, BNM Major then trying to take advantage of that. Taking the slipstream first of the one car, then the other. And decides he can't go for an attack at the moment, although tries to go on the to be on the fastest line, which is the outside if you keep the momentum on the outside. So puts his car side by side on Waffle, two BMWs, and Waffle losing out on him. And I see two pit stops at the moment. An early pit stop by Lily Albanese, and then also who did not change the tires, I think. And Pavlovic then did change his tires, went to medium tires. Both lost quite some time.
Yeah, he probably didn't feel very comfortable on those soft tires, or maybe it was the strategy all along. Maybe do a very short first stint on soft tires, on low fuel, since he had to make up positions at the start and then go for mediums to the end.
And Calamity having a look on Team ESD, very early turn in for him. Team ESD trying to take the wide line, trying to hold on to a 6th place. But Calamity squeezing him on the inside of Lovefield. And then still side by side. And Calamity possibly with the better exit.
Just leaving him enough room for him to make the corner, but compromising his line. So now Calamity is ahead. But just so.
And both cars going a bit wide on the exit of Cops.
I think we saw Calamity being a bit quicker than Team A, even if he's on the supposedly slower tire. Team A has had a bit of a moment on the entry to the Hunger Straight. So he's lost a bit of space to the car in front. Trias meanwhile trying on the slipstream or Renza, he will go for the inside, but as we know the outside line is the quickest here, so he just slots back behind the other Audi. The two BMWs behind squabbling along. Team SD I think is in he's going in the pits.
Entering the pits. And the graphic should be now that when it shows we can tell you how many pit stops they have done, but when Team ESD is dropping a lot of time, I don't know what's happening here, might be a bit of a bug. But if the tires are changed, it should... Oh, there's a car going around. Let's see if we can find it. That's Rens de Kok. Went round. He'll possibly make a pit stop now that his tires are really screwed, because that's not the first time he went a bit sideways. But that was, as I was telling, if a driver does change his tires, then we'll see another tire graphic, little info, little marker, and when he doesn't change his tires, will stay the same.
We're approaching the middle of the race here, so the drivers on soft, we'll see them starting to pit now. We've seen Team ASD.
Yeah, they swapped tires then by the looks of it, and then out in 22nd place for him. So he lost a lot of ground there, didn't he?
Yeah, with 20-second tire change, that's expected. And now he will have all the drivers on mediums, who will probably, if they stay on the same tires, they will pit towards the end of the race. So all the drivers on soft, they will have to overtake them. And
Sultan then going into the pits. And let's see if Simar stays out. So that's going to be interesting. And can Simar maybe put in a couple of quick laps, although he wasn't held up by Albert Sultan by any means. So I expect Sultan to be pretty safe, but
that's retirement from Rens de Kok.
Yeah.
He was on the gravel at the exit of Cops, so I don't know if he was hit, if he touched, or if his car just gave up, as if he had a moment like the one before where he went completely sideways. Very unfortunate for him.
As we are watching Sultan in the pits, don't worry about what you're seeing on the screen. You'll see him in 24th place. He's not 24th place. As soon as he will be leaving the pits, he'll probably be a bit further up into the standings, but let's see where he comes out. Currently in 12th place, losing another place to Max Wandel, then Rob Lewis. So 14th place for him. Right behind the Audi of Rob Lewis, and Rob Lewis a bit slower, of course, than the insane pace of Sultan. So
this is all going to play in the hands of Simard and Chakota ahead, because if Sultan can't get past quickly on the 2-3 cars ahead, he will risk losing the lead to the drivers that are currently in P1 and P2. So Simard and Chakota, they're staying out. We see Dubczynski and Janssen and Calamid on the medium tires. They will be stopping late in the race probably.
We'll see, and Ronnie Bronson overtook Waffle earlier and still under pressure then from Waffle. Rob Lewis and Max Wandel side by side.
This might give Sultan a chance to overtake some of them, at least one.
It's a pretty dangerous position to be in. He's on the inside of Wandel at the moment, but pushes him a bit wide.
Yeah, he seems to have taken the place, so that's one down.
Still kept the door open in the next left-hander, just in case Wandel will be there, but it seems pretty safe at the moment. And by the looks of it, I think Simar is still not going into the pits.
Yeah, he's staying out, so is Charcot.
And we see Wandel going into pits. To watch on board with Albert Sultan. Taking a lot of that apex while Rob Lewis is going pretty wide on that apex in turn 1. Looking very solid from Sultan. Very calm, unlike the car in front of him. And Janssens still very close to Lubczynski, of course earlier had this moment. And Sultan maybe a bit of a better exit in, I think it's Village. And overtakes Rob Lewis pretty easily into Brooklands and then Lovefield. And I expect most pit stops to happen in the next 5 or so minutes. Watch on board with Simar. Simar going through Stowe. Still not going into the pits. And Janssens then, right behind Lubczynski. Lubczynski defending.
On the outside, Janssens.
It's not the first time he would manage to do it on the outside. And seems very clean. But also forces him to use as little of the track as possible.
Tries to stay there.
But Janssens by the looks of it with a bit of a better run, and Janssens going for the apex of Klapkorder and over the line, and so far it seems that Janssens is the winner of this little scrap for the moment again. And we have another couple of drivers going into the pits. That is Björn Meder, Rob Lewis and Ronnie Bronson are in the pits. And Sultan then up into 10th place. Puts his car next to Blame's car. Both the Lamborghinis. And looks
Sultan,
like...
yeah, Sultan has done a 201.1 last lap despite having the overtake on Blame and on was it Rob Lewis before?
Yeah,
was Simard and Charcot, they're doing 202, so they're losing time on Sultan.
Yeah.
At the moment Sultan is still virtually in the lead.
And the two teammates, Lubczynski and Calamite, then pretty close. Both on medium tires. And looks like everyone is changing tires, even Rob Lewis, who's on medium tires. Looks like he's on his tires.
You were correct. Then it seems that not all drivers on medium tires will go to the end of the race.
Rob Lewis, very aggressive defense, trying to warm his tires possibly. It's a bit dangerous perhaps with a car that close behind, but then let's Björn Major go. Maybe he wasn't aware that he was so close, and Calamite then passed Lubczynski. And at the same time, Charcot and Simar into the pits. So Rudy Janssens and as well does Calamite. And Rudy Janssens then well, at the moment, no, he's also in the pits. Sorry, that is Lubczynski, is he? Yeah,
Lubczynski is still out. Lubczynski is out. So he might have the chance to do an overcut on Janssens if he stays out.
And we see many drivers into the pits right now. Let's keep an eye on as we see Sultan going over the main straight, over past the finish line. And Simar still, that is a very clear and easy first place for Sultan then. Or currently second place behind Glubczynski. And Blame coming out behind, sorry, that is Chacot coming behind Alizerx. So nothing too odd going on.
Sultan still keeping a very, very good race pace under the 2 minutes 01. He's done enough laps good enough to stay ahead. Simard and Chacot, they've lost one position currently on Blame and Alexis, but they still have to pit, so that's probably just a matter of minutes until they get past. I don't think Simard and Chacot, they have enough pace to threaten Sultan in the lead. And if Sultan doesn't make any mistakes, if he keeps driving as consistently and quickly as now, he might be I think we've had just how many, 3 race winners so far?
Yeah, I think Team ASD overtook Samuel, but Samuel still having a look. No, cannot do anything at the cops. Yeah, let me see if I can find the current race winners.
Meantime, Janssen and Calamir, they both have changed tires, at least looking at the graphics, so they're both on mediums but new tires. Meanwhile, Glubczynski is still out. His last lap was 201.9, while Janssen, let's see his next lap after his out lap.
The first round was won by Philippe Simard, and the second round by Thomas Tatela. And Max Wandel was the one who won the previous race at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, so every race with a different winner so far. And if Sultan keeps on going like that, he will be the 4th.
And Vaffel overtaking Rob Lewis. Glubczynski staying out. Maybe he'll do a quick splash and dash then. Might be interesting. I don't think he'll be able to, whatever happens, he'll be able to stay out in front of Sultan, but maybe he'll gain a couple of places.
I think currently he looks like he has a very solid pace compared to Janssens and Calamir, the direct opponents. Janssen has gained quite a lot on Calamir. I don't know if something happened or if there was something, some mistakes in the pits. But Calamir before the pit stop was just behind Janssens. Now he's about 7 seconds behind. Something must have happened. In the meantime, Simard is alongside Blame, going to Margaret's and Beckett's. He stays behind.
Oh, a bit of a boost there for Simard. He tries to take a different line, but didn't have to grip, and then it's Blame who doesn't have to grip. And Simard pretty easily going around the outside. And then, well, does he have the speed though? Lamborghini is pretty fast, of course, on the straight.
He should have the outside, which is the fastest line.
And seems to be able to keep it.
Yes, he stays ahead. Same goes with Charcot and Alex Zerg. Pretty clean pass. Alex Zerg still on the medium tires, and Blame in the meantime goes into the pits. Alex Zerg stays out, and Glubczynski, currently the race leader, still out. Doesn't want to pit. As you said, he might try and go for just a splash and dash, which will mean he will have about 20 seconds advantage on Janssens and Calamir, who have taken tires by the looks of it.
And Simard overall still losing a bit of time to Sultan. Sultan doing very well, and it seems like Chacot then finally is being a bit bothered by his 40 kilograms of ballast. Max Wandel also doing very well in the championship, as well as Simard, of course, but looks like Chacot with this result as it currently is, or if he finishes in 4th place, will still be possibly the championship leader. Well, he won't get rid of that 40 kilograms that easily. And Pisani and Samuel. Samuel was losing some places earlier. Place
still has to pit.
And Pisani, who did of course pit. So in theory, Pisani with the faster car or faster tires, and seems to have a very good exit. But it's Samuel who is defending.
The Audi holds the inside line on through Cops. Pisani just backs out a bit. He doesn't want to go too wide, understandably, and now he tries to switch back. He will still have the... he stays behind. He doesn't stick to the inside maggots and buckets. The Audi still ahead, but now he should have a bit more grip on traction and try and threaten the Audi. Here at Stowe, instinctively you go for the inside. When you want to cover an overtake, you go for the inside automatically. But here, the faster line is the outside. So in theory, you should stay on your racing line, even if you want to defend. Because even if the driver behind goes for the inside, you will probably be a bit quicker.
So far then, Pisani looking much quicker, but not being able to pass Samuel. Samuel placing his car nicely.
Let's see, maybe here in the braking zone he will have fresh tires, and Samuel taking the defensive line, but he doesn't have good speed out of that. Pisani on the outside, not quite ahead yet, but he will have the fast line here, and he just drives off. So that's one position
So
gained.
there you go. Of course, that's part of the track where you have need a lot of mechanical grip, and these fresh soft tires give you a lot of mechanical grip.
Van Grift, by the way, in 6th place. He hasn't pitted yet, but he's on soft tires, and yeah, it shows wide. He's just gone a bit wide on Cobbs.
And so he's now immediately under attack from Rune Janssen. Seems very slow, does Van Grift. I don't know if anything happened.
Yeah, I think the soft tires are just falling off the cliff. They usually last about 40 minutes. That's after those 40 minutes, you really feel the lack of grip. So he should be pitting quite soon, probably. I don't think he can't surely make it on just one set of tires. It's hard enough for the mediums, so for the soft it's just impossible. But he stays out.
Setting up for the overtake on him, but Van Grift defending. Simarden with the fastest lap with a 2:0.4. Fastest lap of Sultan is still 0.6, and Rune Janssen puts his car side by side on Van Grift. And overtakes him, overtakes the orange Ferrari.
Yeah, that's lost him a bit of time on Grubczynski. 2:02.6 for Grubczynski, Janssen's 2:03.3. So in that battle at the distance, Grubczynski still seems to have the upper hand. Calamity is going pretty quick compared to Janssen's and Grubczynski, but he's still a couple of seconds behind, but he's been making the time up pretty quickly. He's on the same pace as Sultan and Simarden Chakot, just a couple of tenths slower than the front runners, but he's been clocking some really good lap times.
And we have a couple of drivers very close together, which are Trias, Ronnie Brunson and Waffle. And Ronnie Brunson then very close to Trias. Can he make a move? And we see, oh, he didn't see the Z4 of Björn Major there, who was also there. Tried to move over, but then got hit in the side with Ronnie Brunson, and now losing many places.
Yeah, Björn Major was just on the braking zone. He was fully committed to his line. The McLaren just tried to go around the outside, but there was still a bit of car left.
And we have a McLaren and a Ferrari side by side, Pavlovic and Apex Police. And Apex Police for the moment being the winner, although no, he loses control and Pavlovic barely managed to avoid him, but Apex Police eventually keeps his car under control and loses the place from Pavlovic.
That was a bit of a scary moment.
And another fastest lap for Simar then. Simar is on the hunt.
Yeah, he's on a mission. Meantime, Glubczynski in the pits. Let's see where he comes up after his pit stop. Janssens is going past the start-finish line at the moment as Glubczynski leaves the pit lane. I think he will be behind. Yes, I think he's lost the position on Janssens.
He lost quite a couple of places. Comes out in 9th place. The little triangles that you're seeing in the screen and some other things are not entirely correct anymore, unfortunately, but
Glubczynski now is on the soft tires, so he stayed out well past the halfway of the race, but he's on the softer tires now, and he's not that far from Calamity and Janssens, who are on the medium tires. So towards the end of the race, he will probably be right back on the hunt. Simard is 6 seconds behind Sultan. Sultan has been doing his usual lap times, 2:01 low, just a bit below 2:01. Simard has been clocking some monster laps lately. And yeah, as you said, he's on the hunt. He will try and make up the space. Charcot behind, also on a very good lap. He did his personal best the last time he went around, just 3 seconds clear of Simard in front. Let's see Sultan if he responds with good lap times. Comes around 2:01.2, so he's on his usual pace. Simard even quicker. Just another fastest lap of the race for the Audi of Philippe Simard. Charcot behind 2:00.6, so a couple of tenths slower, but still quicker than the Lamborghini at the front.
And Waffle having an eventful race now, right behind Bien Major. Well, he seems to be battling all over the place, Waffle.
He's certainly having a lot of fun here.
And the graphics that you're seeing on the screen is not entirely correct. We had a bit of a reset of the app, it seems. And we have a swap for 5th place. Calamide on Rune Janssens. Tried to cut away from Waffle there, but and Rune Janssens possibly able to set up an attack on the next turn on in Brooklands. Looking to the inside, to the outside. Calamide braking very deep. And Rune Janssens can't do anything other than keep his car close to the car in front. So yeah, the app seems to reset a bit, which resets some of the tires. So even though the tire info regarding what tire they are on is correct, it's not correct about whether they switched tires or made a pit stop or anything like that. And Timmy ASD on the Ferrari of Grift.
Still on the soft tires and still out, so I don't know what's up with him. He should have been in the pits many minutes ago, so trying to pull up. He's currently 7 places ahead of from where he started, but he's it's the second time he goes wide at cops, so those tires are really at the end of the lives.
And Waffle
and Glubczynski had a bit of a moment somewhere because now he's behind Pisani. He was I think behind Team ASD. Something must have happened. It puts him in a not a good position on his race on Calamity and Janssen. Grift finally comes into the pits.
There he goes indeed.
Meanwhile, at the front, Sultan has picked up the pace a little bit to 0.7, but Simard and Charcot still on the low 2 minutes They're slowly closing the gap on Sultan.
We have also Vega in the pits. Vega, it shows a red P, which means that either he was speeding in the pits or some other faulty pit stop, but since he's just driving in the pits, it looks like he was speeding in the pit lane. Game for him. And we have Griff then going out 23rd place at the moment.
And he doesn't... yeah, he's changed tires, obviously. Just the up didn't register it yet. Alex Zerg's still out on the medium tires. His 14th place is up.
Apex Police and Blame battling. Blame, well, we saw him on the front earlier, is now in 17th place. Of course, he's carrying 30 kilograms of ballast. And Blame, from what I've heard, is using a keyboard to race, is that correct?
Yes, he should be using a mouse and keyboard, so
well,
if a wheel is not strictly necessary to be quick. First, it's a big help on feeling the car and everything, but you can be quick with almost anything. Oh, and
bit of a moment.
Apex Police behind almost sent Blame in the gravel where poor Rens de Kock has retired before.
And Alex in the pit lane was in 4th place.
Simard and Chakot still gaining on Sultan. Now the gap is down to about 4.5 seconds. They're going to be at this rate they will be closing in towards the end of the race if Sultan keeps his pace.
And Blame overtaking Rob Lewis on the inside of the club, or Phil and club. Right now on the outside. Ooh. There's Rob Lewis who makes his car wide, and then Blame has to go off track a bit, and Apex Police then taking the place back from Blame. And Apex Police looking quite aggressive and wants to take the place from Rob Lewis, but did he have the better line? And both him and Blame having a look, and Apex Police so far overtaking Rob Lewis pretty wide, both of them go, and that of course means that Blame in turn, and also Ronnie Bronson right now on the outside of Luffield are taking advantage.
Yes, Ronnie Bronson was just waiting for somebody to make a move and make a mistake, and he's taking the chance. Apex Police has gone wide again, and he's almost lost it. He managed to keep it. Bronson now on Rob Lewis through Margotts and Beckett's is very close, so if he gets a good run, he might try something at the end of the Hunger Straight. Blame is starting to pull away slightly.
And we have just over 2 minutes left before the pit lane closes. I mean that by now everyone should have made their pit stops.
I think both Samuel and Lele Albanese haven't done their pit stops, so they might want to get it over with quickly. Or I don't know if maybe Samuel has done his pit stop but didn't take tires, so it's only showing one set of mediums.
And Waffle then still all over the back of Bien Major, but so far has not been able to set up an attack. Or this perhaps Bien Major who's been putting his car in a good spot and placing his car very well, but so far it looks like Waffle is not able to get close enough. You start to wonder if you're driving behind someone for that long in the race, the driver gets frustrated and goes for maybe a bit opportunistic move. What strikes me is that most of the drivers who are either on softs or on mediums kept those same tires, or at least swapped tires for a new set, but still the same tires, and didn't go for another compound.
Yeah, the only two drivers having changed tires are Glubczynski, now in 8th place behind Pisani, and Pavlovic. Started on soft tires, did a quick stint, and then he's on mediums. Right. But all the others have stuck to the tires, and I've seen somebody going very wide into wagons and brackets. I think it was Apex Police and Ronnie Bronson. I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, I certainly didn't see it either. We're still watching with Vaffel and BM Major. So the closest battle going on at the moment on the track. Both the BMWs. Well, we're seeing some BMW action this day, today. That's for sure. And very wide then for BM Major. Can Vaffel make use of that? He seems to be very careful. And tries to have a go around the outside. Again being very careful. Braking late, again on the outside.
Behind them, Max Randall has been closing up. He's taking advantage of the battle. Unfortunately, he's only 13th place now. He's been battling with Simard and Chakot in the first stages of this championship. Now he's a bit behind on the grid, maybe because of the ballast, as you mentioned earlier, that might affect his car more than others.
And pits is now closed, so everyone did make their pit stops, and there are 14 minutes left in this race, which I would suspect are about 7 more laps. And Grift on Samuel. Grift, well, leaving the space open for Samuel to stay alive. And Samuel on the outside of the love field, pretty good driving there. But who will have the better exit? It is Grift on the inside for Stowe. Taking a shorter line. And both cars still side by side through Stowe. Can Samuel maybe do a little switchback? I think he can.
He will have the inside for the next corner, so he's in a good position. And yeah, he seems to be ahead of the Ferrari. Very close together. Now maybe at the end of the younger straight, Grift will try and go around the outside, as we've seen many drivers try to do during this race. He's a bit too far behind. Still can't manage to mount an attack. In the meantime, Simard has closed the gap on Sultan to about 3 seconds, with 12 minutes left in the race.
Considering he was about 8 seconds behind Sultan, that is some pretty good pace from him. Previous lap of his was 0.8, and his best lap still 0.3, but Sultan then last lap was 01.4, so that is about a little over half a second on one lap. So with half a second to go and about 7 laps, that might become very close towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think he will definitely catch up to Sultan, but with the ballast, it's going to be a struggle to get past unless he pushes Sultan on in a mistake or tries something very aggressive. He will need to overcome the ballast disadvantage that he has.
Yeah, overtaking is, or getting close is one thing, but overtaking is another. Especially on this track, as we've seen earlier, still I think Vaffel is behind BM Major, for example. So that tells you how difficult it can be when two drivers are very close on pace, and half a second the lap might not be enough to gain enough for the overtake. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope we can certainly make life difficult for Sultana. We'll have a bit of a fight on our hands towards the end of this race. And Apex Police then on Rob Lewis. Rob Lewis still in front. It was of course Simar who made a later stop.
Pisani on, sorry to interrupt you, Pisani on Team SD on the inside here.
Battle for 6th place.
Yeah, Team A tried to stick on the outside. He went very wide, but he kept the car and kept his line, and that has let Glubczynski close up on the duo. Now all the three are very close together. Glubczynski has had a bit of a unfortunate situation. After his pit stop, he's dropped back quite a few seconds. Pisani ahead after Stowe.
Takes place
he kept the position. Yes, sir.
And Glubczynski then also having a look on Timmy. Can he try some different lines? Can he maybe force Timmy into a mistake somewhere here? That's a pretty decent exit for Glubczynski. And of course the McLaren not the fastest car on the straights. Pretty good run. And goes on the inside. Not enough overlap for the moment. But it does catches Timmy out a bit. But for the moment doesn't seem to be able to do so.
All the three top runners have left bit the rope. Sultan 201.6 last lap, Simard and Chakot both above 201, still gaining on Sultan about half a second.
Yeah.
Yes, but the tires are starting to get worn out, so that might be playing into the hands of Simard. He knows all the cars very well, so he knows how to deal with the tire wear. Chakot maybe he's probably a bit too far for trying on
Timmy
attack.
going wide, maybe a bit of a moment on left field, and it is Glubczynski who immediately takes advantage of that and overtakes him on the inside. And so far seems to be the big winner, because Timmy ASD has lost now 2 places in the space of just about 1.5 laps.
Yeah, we've seen it happen so many times. You just you're fighting somebody, you get overtaken, and then you lose all your momentum. You struggle on the focus. You start making mistakes here and there, and it's a bit of a panic mode. So it's you keep just losing more and more positions.
And before we reach the end of this race, I want to do a quick run down or up through the field. We'll start with 24th place is Ace Rod. Ace Rod quite far behind the rest of the field at the moment. Doesn't seem to be able to get the most out of his Ferrari for the moment. Vega in 23rd place. We have Lily Albanese, who was, I think he was behind the field earlier, is now in 22nd place and very close to Samuel, who's in 21st place. He's been close for a while now, but not been able to make a pass. And Werner Grift, of course, now after his pit stop in 20th place. Tom, haven't seen too much from him, not too much fighting, but been very stable, is now in 19th place. Apex Police and the red Ferrari still behind Rob Lewis. Not able to go for the overtake, but Lewis in 17th place. Ronnie Bronson, one of the front runners in the championship, in 16th place only. Then we have Blame in 15th place, another of the front runners. Blame with 30 kilograms, which seems to bother him quite a bit, as well as it does for for Max Wandel, who's in 14th place. And then we did get a couple of positions back. Pavlovic then, who didn't do a qualifying as well as Tom, is now in 13th place, not too shabby from him. And Vaffel still behind Bien Major. Vaffel in 12th place and Bien Major... Oh, there we go. We have an attack on LSX, who's now dropping and then going very wide. Or is it LSX actually who's overtaking? I'm not sure actually. And LSX now between the fighting pair of Bien Major and Vaffel. And I think it is LSX who's dropping some places actually.
Yes, I believe he was ahead of the duo. And both Vaffel and Bien Major have caught up with Yodi.
And in 9th place is Timmy ASD. Trias in 8th place. Was losing some places earlier, but seems to be stabilized now in 8th place. Lubczynski then in 7th place. Was a bit higher before the pit stops, I believe. And we have Pisani, very nice drive from him in the BMW in 6th place. In 5th place is Rune Janssens. We saw him have a moment earlier. I think it was with Lubczynski. But now is the teammate Calamide in 4th place. And then the first of the podium drivers, or so far, are Jacob Charcot. Pretty solid pace from him with his 40 kilograms, so that was a very lonely race. And we have Simar then in 2nd place, catching up to Sultan. Now 1.2, 1.3 the gap between them. And last lap still about 0.3 of a second faster than Sultan. So there we are.
Yeah, Simar has basically caught up with Sultan, but only 4 minutes left in the race, and he needs to get past. So that's he will have to pop out party mode as soon as possible. Otherwise, Sultan looks like he's in a good position for the end of the race. Vaffel, meanwhile, still having... I think he's a driver that had the most fun in the race. He's constantly being battling other people.
Yeah,
very
as
good
well
pace.
As, in front of him is LSX, is Pavlovic behind him. Pavlovic, of course, has been making places up. Can he make up another place? As Vaffel is struggling to overtake today. Has been struggling, of course, with Bien Major, who's now able to run away a bit from the fighting cars behind him.
Oh, and that's, I think, Max Wandel going the short way through Beckett. The two teammates, Pavlovic and Wandel, in basically the same place. Vaffel defending from Pavlovic on the inside, but as we've seen already, the outside line is where he wants to be. Oh, and I think there was a bit of a lag spike that sent so unfortunately Pavlovic into Vaffel.
And will Vaffel be able to rejoin the track? Looks like he can. He's 18th place currently, as we see Apex Poli still fighting with Rob Lewis. But that's very unlucky from Vaffel. Certainly did look like some lag spike right in that battle. And then we have Bien Major then still in 10th place, Alex X in 11th. And Pavlovic then 12th. Doesn't look like anything happened to the car of Pavlovic.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on his car. I just saw a big spike, like his car went sideways for a moment and just hit Vaffel, and that sent him on in the gravel. So
very unlucky there.
Very, very unfortunate.
With 2 minutes left to go, Sultan now is in Stowe, so just one more lap, and Simar still on 1.5 seconds behind him. He'll have to pull out something very special if he wants to go for the overtake. Trias and Pisani very close.
Sultan now starting the last lap. He's dropped a bit of pace, but so has Simard behind. Charcot basically out of the fight for the moment. He's happy in 3rd place. That will keep his championship position. He will still lead the championship.
And Pisani going a bit wide into Stowe, or well, halfway through the turn it suddenly looked like he went wide, so maybe he went a bit deep. and under attack from Trias. Simar is now within a second of Sultan. So let's watch the race leader for the final lap of round 4 of the ACRL GT3 Championship, or series I should say. And Rob Lewis and Apex Police. It is Apex Police. Well, we just missed the overtake, but ooh, bit of a moment for Apex Police. Can Rob Lewis get back on Apex Police on the inside? Very tight between the two. Around the outside goes to Ferrari. Rob Lewis there, making the sky very wide, and there's no space left for Apex Police. Sultan then going into Maggots, through Beckett's, one more, and eventually through Chapel onto the Hanger Straight.
Last sector of the race. Again, after 75 minutes of racing, the leaders are separated by just over 1 second. So that is something really nice to see.
Yeah, and the top 3 then pretty close, which are the 3 soft compound drivers, as we might call them, and the guys on mediums are pretty far behind, but no real major changes there, except from I think, is it? Yeah, I'm a bit confused, but there we go. It is Albert Sultan then who wins the 4th round of the ACRL GT3 series, and is happy to do so. And Simar then just about not enough pace to get to Sultan in the end, and Chacot finishes in 3rd place. And Calamite going through the last turn in 4th place. Decent race from him. And Rune Janssens had a bit of a moment earlier, of course, in turn 2. But now finishes in 5th place. Pretty solid from him. And Pisani then 6th place in the BMW. Goes on the inside to defend from Trias, who finishes in 7th place. So that is a very well done 6th place for Pisani. He was very consistent in fighting throughout the race.
Impressive result.
Timmy ASD in 9th place. We have Ben Major then, who keeps his 10th place. Was under attack and now drops through the tarmac as the server is doing whatever.
Yeah, that's weird because drivers haven't finished. So
some drivers haven't.
Something the stewards will have to look at, and the race control for the next time. Maybe let the server finish after drivers actually come round.
Yeah, so it's something very odd, but well, at least the top. I think that is a top 15. No, top 10. At least made it over the line, so that is something. Let's look at the results. I hope they are correct, since we had the weird thing happening at the end. And no, we don't have any race results whatsoever, unfortunately. We can't really show you that. But it is Sultan then who finishes the race in 1st place, and Simar behind him, and in 3rd place is Chacot. That's what I know. And we'll see if we can get an interview with possibly the race winner and maybe one of the other drivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get them.
Okay, and we'll be right back after this trailer. And we are back. And we should have an interview with our race winner shortly. Our race winner, of course, Albert Sultan.
He's just setting up the microphone equipment. He will be with us shortly, and then we will have P2, Philippe Simard. Unfortunately, Jakub Čakot doesn't have a working microphone at the moment, but he he said he has nothing to say anyway. So that's our resident Kimi for the moment. Yeah, Albert should be getting ready. Let's see if I can bring him over. Let's see what I can find him. We're having a bit of difficulties here with Discord not playing along. If that's not solved, I might get Phil here first. So yeah, I'll just bring Philip. I'll just tell him. Okay, so we have here Philippe Simard. For the moment, Albert is probably setting up his mic, so he doesn't. He's not available shortly, and we'll interview me later. And yeah, we have here second finisher, Philippe Simard.
Yes.
Welcome, hi, and of course, congratulations for your result. Which was quite impressive considering the ballast that you and Jakub Čakot behind had. So, yeah, how was it? How did the ballast affect you in the fight with Albert Sultan? Was it just pace? Do you think you would have been able to get past if you had caught him up earlier?
Yeah. Ballast for me was about half a second per lap in pace. Doesn't really change the car how it behaves. You just lose time on pure pace. Damn, I wish I didn't. I gave up early for the race win. I tried to stay with Albert early on, but he was just going away in the first few laps way too quickly. I wasn't going to be able to follow him, so I just took some rhythm out of the pace and tried to drive for a second pace, takes a bit of less risk, and then he pitted very early for to change tires, and then I kind of understood why he had so much pace on the first stint. I did my regular pit stop at half the race, and then I think I came out of the pits. I was 8 seconds behind him. I wasn't even trying to go for the win at that moment. I just when I got released from blame, who was pitting later, I just tried to grab fastest lap for the fun of doing it. And then when I did it, it wasn't too difficult to do. When I checked his lap time, it was about a second slower than me. So I went, okay, maybe we have something here. So I really have pushed hard until the end, but I missed a couple laps, I think. I took so much life out of the left rear tire going that quick in the second stint that it would have been very difficult to pass, but it was fun, catching him and trying to push for a mistake.
Yeah, it did really look like that, and we saw some drivers having very difficult time to pass, but yeah, you were so much faster, at least half a second on average, and you were closing in very rapidly, but yeah, unfortunately. Do you think if you would have done it differently that you would have made it past?
No, if I had not given up so early on the win, maybe I would have been closer at the end of the race and maybe force a mistake or something. We know Albert sometimes does those little slides mistakes that cost him half a second. But passing around here was very difficult, we had a session earlier in the week, to try some moves on people and racing it back, and really there was pretty much only one spot you could pass, and against a Lambo, it's really hard to get a draft and get any kind of overlap before braking zone. So I think I wouldn't have been able to pass. I don't think so.
And qualifying, we saw a couple of drivers being very quick. You were very quick early on, and then suddenly Albert was there with a very quick time. Were you surprised?
Yeah. Well, with Ballast, I think we're a bit ahead of him, both me and Jacob. But Albert is usually a bit more behind us. He was very strong at this circuit for some reason. And
he said he was gonna be. I think in the previous race, in the interview.
Yeah, maybe he knows the track very well, or I don't know. He raced many laps there. Usually he's a bit further behind us. He was very strong around here, and he didn't do any mistakes. So
it looked really solid from him. And about the start, it looked like you were having a bit of a look, but from our perspective. But could you ever get close enough to maybe have a go in the first lap?
Oh, no way.
Okay.
In turn one, he was already too far ahead. There was no space. There was nothing to attempt. I was more focused on trying to keep Jacob and Ruin behind.
And strategy-wise, I heard Lucas say that there was a bit of a squabble going on in the chat about strategy. Were you always going to do this strategy, or weren't you sure about it because temperatures and all that?
I was good with the softs up until 20 degrees Celsius. Above 20 degrees, it was really difficult to keep the left rear with the blistering, and even at 18 degrees, the drop off in pace was huge. The left rear was just gone at the end of both stints, but it was just barely manageable. And the mediums, they were more constant, but at these temps they were a bit too slow. So I was going to go with the softs up to 20 degrees Celsius.
Do you think the mediums couldn't heat up enough?
No, the right front was ice cold, so it just was really difficult to turn the car in all the left-hand corners. You were losing a lot of time. Right.
Is that something you test beforehand? Like, where's the sort of cutoff for the temperature?
Yeah, we have. We know the temps in advance. We know the range. It's our job to try all the possibilities. We have the time to do it. It's annoying to me because we have to test so many different temperatures. But if you don't do it, you're just stuck with the lottery at the start of the race. And if you're lucky or not, you can have a bad race if you don't have good temps.
Yeah. It looked like you and Albert, and behind you, of course, Chacot. The three of you were very quick compared to the drivers behind. Were you in any point in the race under pressure from Chacot, or were you pretty safe?
No, I was safe. First stint, he was keeping up with me a bit more because I was not pushing as much to try to get to Albert. I think I had the gap in between 2 and 3 seconds. It was constant there. There was no, it wasn't going up and down too much. So that was fine for me. And in the second stint, once I started pushing to go for first, then I was able to pull a gap on Jacob.
Yeah,
I think he had some pace under him too. There's no point, trying too much when it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to catch the guys in front.
All right. Thanks for sharing all this with us. Thank you very much for being on our little show. And
thank you.
Congratulations to your second place. I wonder what it will do to the championship, but we'll see that later. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will bring the race winner Albert over. Okay, should be here. Albert, you're in the room with us. So first of all, congratulations on your win. We were talking before. This is the fourth different driver that wins in 4 races. So that's very nice to see. And we remember at your interview, Laguna Seca, you said you were pretty confident on Silverstone. You liked the track and you felt very, very good on it. So yes, tell us something about your race.
Hello, guys. Oh, what a race, boy. The race probably looked a little bit easier on the outset, but it wasn't really easy. The car wasn't easy at all to drive because the rear tires were overheating and the degradation was really big. But anyway, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Fields and Jakub Chargot because they are pretty fast and they were carrying a lot of ballast, which I wasn't. So probably they would have won the race for sure. So kudos to them. And today, well, first time I really nailed the pole lap, because on the other races I really didn't, and it was nice feeling. And then on the race I opted to start with a little bit less fuel so I could stay in front and pull a gap if possible, and it really worked. But the problem was on the second half of the race because the tires were really bad. The last laps I was sliding too much, and Philippe was really closing in. So really a tough race at the end, but feels great to win.
But you kept enough distance so he couldn't make an attack.
Yeah, also Phil was complaining about the same thing. He was really pushing on the second half, and he also said that his left rear tire was completely destroyed. So you were both pushing pretty hard at the end, it seems.
Yeah, really the left tire, especially the rear one was really overheating. I slapped some rear wing before the race, so that really helped a little bit. But yeah, it was a tough race.
And Philip told us that he sort of gave up halfway through the first stint, I think. And that might have been a very genius move of you to fill up a bit light. Because maybe if he hadn't given up, maybe he would have gotten you at the end. So, stroke of genius, perhaps?
Yeah, for sure. He was on the second stint, he was faster.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And during qualifying, it looked like Philippe was fastest of anybody, but then, yeah, you just had you said it earlier, of course, but you just had a good lap. It all came together.
What
was different from previous races?
For me, well, the setup was a little bit different for this track. I went to asymmetric cambers. So the right corners were a little bit better with this car, so that helped. And also I simply did a perfect lap today, so that gave me pole position.
Yeah,
but other than that, nothing really special.
You think it was the confidence that you had before the race, before qualifying?
Yes, that helps. It's more the track, the shape of the track. Really, it was a little bit better for the Rambo than Laguna Seca.
But so, yeah, blame. Chacot is on 40 kilograms. Was before, I think, as well. But you were much quicker than him compared to previous races.
Well, 40 kilos.
Yeah. Still,
I don't know. Maybe it was the changes I did on the setup for this track. Maybe it did me. Well, it was 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
I reckon that. So probably I had better setup today.
Well, congratulations from me. Thanks for talking to us. I don't know if Luca has any more questions.
That was just a bit of an interesting thing that you said you were using asymmetric camber on your setup. And that's a very interesting point. As for anybody listening here, that's something you might want to pick up on and try into for the next races. Do you think there are other tracks on this calendar where you might try something, might have to try something that unusual?
Well, I think there's at least one more track where you can try the symmetric cambers. But I'm not sure if I want to tell you which car.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
Maybe after the race.
All right.
Okay, so thank you again. And now we're gonna have another driver here, Matteo Pisani, the driver in the best BMW here in on the track. So hello, Matteo. And
hello.
We've known you for quite a long time here, at least in the ACRL paddock. You've been racing with us for so long, and you are, correct me if I'm wrong, the season, I think it was season 6 or season 7 Pro-Am champion.
Yeah, that's correct.
And with your trusted BMW still, and so you're, I think, was it P6 today? I can't remember the standings.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was let me tell you, it was an astonishing result, and I think you can take the learner's sticker off your car just yet after this one.
I've been told that before, but I like to have it there.
So yeah, first of all, congratulations on your result, and so tell us about how was the life in the middle of the field today. We've interviewed the winners. Now let's hear how it was for the meat of the pack.
Well, I think I qualified P10, which is my best qualifying result ever. And it made me quite nervous. I didn't want to mess up anyone. But thankfully, it was all clean in the beginning, and I was able to keep up with the guy in front. Partially, I think, because he was on mediums. But the BMW is pretty easy on the softs. It doesn't heat up the rears as much as the mid-engine cars, so that worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah, that's something that we've been talking about. The BMW might not have the best of the pace, but as you said, it's really easy on the tires. It's good on fuel, so you can get away with using less fuel during the race. So it's definitely a car that's worth considering. Have you? You're a bit of a specialist of the BMW. Have you ever considered switching to some other car, or is are you monogamous on the track as well?
Well, I'm very fond of the BMW. I was going to swap for the M6, but it never came. Maybe in ACC. I had a season in the Audi, but I really didn't like it. It always tried to kill me on after letting off the brakes on turn-in. So I prefer the front engine cars.
Yeah, and we've heard of before. Albert was talking about his setup. He said he was using asymmetrical camber on his car. Is it something that you've done yourself? You've considered doing?
I thought about it, but I just went with my normal setup. I use it for every track. Just soft on the rears, so I can mash the throttle. It works for me.
Well, it worked this time around for sure. You were fighting quite a bit in this race, weren't you?
Well, yeah, there were some battles. I followed Renz for quite a while, but I could really tell that he was struggling on his softs. So when he finally, I think he went wide in.
Yeah, I think Cops. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, I could get some free air and run a bit faster.
Maybe not as much overtaking then as I remember. I'm not sure.
Well, I did a few overtakes after the pits, but that was on people on old mediums.
Right. Yeah.
But towards the end, I caught up with Teme ASD, and I overtook him on the inside of Cops. So I'm quite pleased with that one.
Yeah, we caught that one on the stream. So.
And I had a little bit of contact with Blame when I was fighting Renz, but thankfully it didn't impact me too much.
All right. there were 3 BMW drivers this race, I believe, and during practice I remember that it looked very tight between the 3 of you, and in the end, in qualifying, you were quite a bit further from the other guys. Were you surprised in any way, or?
Well, I was surprised when I saw Waffel's time. I thought he would be able to out-qualify me. I think he did a 0.20.7.
See if I can get the qualifying results.
Yeah, I think that was in practice,
okay.
And I was still on 201 something. And then in qualifying, I remember seeing all 3 of us together within a couple of hundredths of a second. And then Waffle beat me by 1,000 of a second. And then finally I had a really good lap and took the best time for the BMWs.
Yeah, and it looks like you had the same time as Calamine from what I'm seeing on my screen. So.
I did. But I believe he's quite a bit faster than me. He set that very early on in qualifying, and I believe he had some ballast.
Let's see if I can find it. No, I don't think he had ballast this time round. No.
All right. Well, it was early on and on lower grip.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to ask. Maybe Lucas has anything.
Yeah, I'm just happy to see some BMWs, some of the less used cars going so far up the field.
Well,
so.
I can always recommend the BMW for beginners. It doesn't want to kill you. It's so nice to drive, and I'm quite sure if one of the aliens drove it, it could be on the top 3.
That's interesting. Yeah, I heard some talk about it, that it was quite a bit different to drive from the other cars. You have to sort of overdrive it a bit, or in some ways. Is there anything you can confirm, or?
No, for me it feels safe. I mean, you can just let go of the brakes as fast as you want. You can mash the throttle. It just doesn't want to kill you.
Well, that's good to know. So if anyone is considering joining ACRL and feels himself to be a bit of a beginner, go try the Z4. Thank you from my side, Matteo. I think it is.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the broadcast.
All right.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So that was Matteo Pisani, who ended, I think, in P6 in this race in his BMW Z4. I think that's it for the interviews for now. We had quite a spectacular race at Silverstone. For me, it looked like it was going to be a bit of a train in the beginning of the race, and then it ended up being very interesting indeed. I'll leave you with the calendar, which comes up the screen right now. So in 2 weeks' time, we have Hockenheim, the Hockenheim Ring, the 20th of May. That's promising to be an interesting race. And after that we have the Virginia International Raceway, which is of course in the US and quite an undulating track, quite narrow. Will be very interesting. We have Monza, and then the season ending will be the Nordschleife. Well, as we talked about earlier, a couple of guys have done the iRacing 24 hours at the Nordschleife. Both of them laser scanned, of course, so they know the tracks pretty well. We'll see if that brings an interesting race. So 4 more rounds to go. We're halfway through the season right now. And of course, we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. And thank you for watching from my side.
Thank you from my side as well. And yeah, make sure to join us next time. For the moment, have a good night.
Bye-bye.